See, today's topic is about corrosion control methods or corrosion prevention method. This comes under Unit 3 Electrochemistry and Corrosion. In this, we are going to discuss about surface coatings. Okay, so different methods are available to control and to prevent the corrosion. Among all, most efficient method is surface coatings. Surface coatings are nothing but whatever metal we are going to protect, that metal is taken as the base metal. On that base metal, another metal coating or another organic paint can be coated. That is called a surface coating. So surface coatings are more protective layer present on the surface. So many type of surface coatings are available. Most important kind of surface coating is hard dipping. So it is one type of surface coating. So how can we do this hard dipping means? So any base metal can be dipped into molten metal of low melting point such as zinc and tin. When it is dipped into molten metal, what happens? That molten metal can be dispersed on the surface of our base metal. In this way, it is coated on the surface, which is called hard dipping. Why it is called hard dipping means we are taking molten metal under hot condition, high temperature conditions. That's the reason why it is called hard dipping method. So the iron mostly taken as the base metal in this. So which required to protect. So that iron or steel. So we are going to dip either into zinc or tin. These two are the most commonly applied hot dipping process. If iron is coated with zinc, that process is called galvanization. Iron is coated with tin, that process is called a tinning method. Okay, now we are going to discuss galvanization and tinning, both the process. Okay, so let us see one by one. So this is the general method of hard dipping method. Metal can be dipped into another molten metal. When we are dipping, what happens on the surface of metal? This molten metal is dispersed. Okay, this is the simple example for hard dipping process. Now, there are two types of hard dipping. One is galvanization, second is tinning. So, galvanization is nothing but coating of zinc on the surface of iron or steel is called zinc coating on iron or steel is called galvanization. So, here we are taking molten zinc, molten hot zinc was taken. Into this we are dipping our base metal. Let us see how can we process this. Zinc coating, when intact, prevents corrosive substances from reaching underlying steel or iron. Because of zinc, so that zinc is anodic in nature, which forms a protective layer which used to avoid the interaction of outer environment with inner metal. Zinc is being anodic and metal becomes cathodic. As already we know, cathode always protected and anode always corroded. The process of galvanization. Now let us see how galvanization process is carried. First, we have to subject to acid pickling. Acid pickling in the sense, the metal can be washed with acid. When it is washed with acid, whatever impurities present on the surface of metal, all the impurities get removed from the surface. That reaction carried at 60 to 90 degrees centigrade. For that washing, we can use either hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid. But hydrochloric acid is most oftenly used as acid, which used to remove all the impurities present on the surface of base metal. Immediately after acid pickling, that should be subjected to water washing, because acid used to accelerate the rate of corrosion. In order to prevent that, water washing is required and immediate drying is also required, because under wet condition it may accelerate the rate of corrosion. That's the reason why washing with acid followed by water washing followed by drying completely. So these are the important steps before going to protect our base metal. Next actual process called galvanization. How can we subject a galvanization means prepared items galvanized by immersion into molten zinc. Molten zinc is maintained at 445 to 465 degrees centigrade. We have to mention the temperature because Just above its melting point value, we have to supply the heat or temperature so that zinc exists in molten state. It should be in the range of 445 to 465 degrees centigrade. When it is dipped into, when base metal dipped into this molten zinc, there is a formation of zinc iron alloy layers. Zinc iron alloy layer formation is possible, and the coating of zinc is possible. And the next step is rolling. Rolling is nothing but that galvanized articles now compressed in between rollers. Rollers are large sized balls which are moving in opposite direction. When we are passing our galvanized articles through the rollers, what happens? So it used to provide uniform distribution of coating layer on the surface. When uniform distribution is there, which used to avoid that difference in the concentration of zinc on the surface. One region high what thickness and another region low thickness, that can be avoided by passing through these rollers. Uniform thickness is maintained by passing through the rollers. And the next is about annealing. Annealing is nothing but, so after rolling, the process called annealing, where metal is heated to extremely high temperature, around 650 degrees centigrade temperature we have to maintain. So it becomes red hot. That red hot metal is cooled slowly. Now it is cooled slowly so that alloy formation is possible at the junction. What is that alloy? Iron and zinc alloy formation is possible at the surface. So that is the main purpose of annealing. When we are subjecting our galvanized articles for annealing, what happens? The surface layer becomes more adhering to the base metal. Even by scratching, it is not possible to remove because there is a formation of alloy. Alloy is nothing but mixture of metals. Iron zinc alloy formation is possible on the surface so that the protective layer becomes more strong. Okay, so this is about the process of galvanization. First we are caustic cleaning, followed by rinsing. Caustic cleaning is nothing but base. Caustic in the sense basic solution, it can be dipped into basic solution. Rinsing is nothing but washing with water. Next is about pickling. Pickling is nothing but dipping into acid, so washing with acid, followed by rinsing. Rinsing is nothing but again washing with water only. Next, flux solution. Flux is nothing but which used to increase the binding tendency. The substance which used to increase the binding tendency, that is called flux solution, which is added here. And next, that base metal is dipped into molten zinc. So molten zinc, when it is dipped, zinc coated on the surface, followed by cooling and cleaning. So in this way, galvanization process is carried. It is a simple description of galvanization. Next, let us see applications of galvanization. These zinc coated articles are most important, and the strength is also extremely high. Zinc coated articles are very strong and high corrosion resistant materials. That's why these galvanized articles are used worldwide. Okay, steel products are galvanized annually worldwide. So some hundreds to thousand tons of steel can be protected by this galvanization process. In the early 20th century, galvanized piping replaced by previously used cast iron, lead or cold water plumbing. Earlier, they used different type of coatings, but from 20th century onwards, galvanization is the commonly applied coating which used to avoid the corrosion. To galvanized sheet of metal. So any iron metals can be protected with this galvanization process. Galvanized machine parts, tools, ships, tanks and wires. So in these regions also we can apply galvanization process. Machine parts in industrial purpose we can use. Some tools we can protect by using galvanization. Ships in marine region, water tanks, any other chemical storage tanks can be protected. Even wires and sheets can be protected by using galvanization. Galvanized household items such as buckets, tubs and other containers. So in household process also we can use, but limited applications are there because Galvanized articles are toxic in nature. It is very important to remember. In the last semester question, last semester examination, they asked the question why galvanized articles are not suitable for domestic purpose. Why galvanized articles are not suitable for household utensils? Because zinc coated on the iron is toxic in nature, which is poisonous in nature. That's the reason why it is not used in food storage tanks and any food transportation materials. We can't use galvanized articles. So because zinc is toxic in nature. So it is more efficient to apply in industrial purpose, but in domestic purpose, it is not preferable. Okay. So this is about galvanization. Next, let us discuss about tinning. Second hot dipping method it is. Tinning is the process of uh, thin coating sheet of tin over the iron or steel. Okay, we are coating tin material on iron and steel is called a tinning process. This is also called as tin plating. Here we can see the structure of how tin coated on the surface of iron. Again, base metal is iron only, but tin layer is dispersed or produced on the surface of this iron base metal. So this tinning of metal wire we can see in this picture. And the next, solder is a metal alloy which is used to connect the metal or metal wires together uh, with the low melting point. Tin melting point is extremely low, around 200 degrees melting point will be there. That's why it able to form a solder with the alloy formed between tin and iron. Now it is called as a solder. Solder is nothing but protecting of base metal by using low melting point metal is called a solder. Here the formation of solder is possible and tinning is done to protect the base metal from rusting. So in this process again, here first sulfuric acid is added. The sulfuric acid is nothing but acid pickling only, which used to remove all the impurities just like galvanization. And the next step, what water is added and water washing should be carried followed by dried. The process is same as galvanization. Now it is treated with zinc chloride flux. As already we know, flux is mainly used to improve the binding tendency. Binding tendency or adhering tendency can be improved by the addition of flux. Here the flux added is zinc chloride. Zinc chloride flux is added. In case of galvanization, ammonium chloride flux is added. Tinning, zinc chloride flux is added. Here, temperature should be maintained in the region of 230 to 250 degrees centigrade because tin melting point value is extremely low. That's why we are maintaining 230 to 250. But in case of galvanization, 445 to 460 degrees centigrade we have to maintain in galvanization. Tinning 230 to 250 degrees centigrade is enough. And the next is about to get uniform layer of tin coating on the surface. Again, it should be subjected to rollers. And palm oil is also added here. The purpose of palm oil is which used to avoid the oxidation with air. Okay, if palm oil coating is not there, what happens? So air oxidation is possible. So that's the reason why palm oil should be coated on the surface after tin distribution on the surface. Okay, even palm oil is used to provide luster on the surface of base metal. Okay, so now we are passing through rollers. Rollers are mainly used to provide uniform layer of tin on the surface of base metal. This is the simple utensil which is coated with tin. So tin coated iron base metal is represented here because tin coated articles mostly used in household utensils. That's the reason why we are mentioning here household utensil here. Okay, so now let us see what are the advantages of tinning process. Here in tinning process there is no wastage. Whatever tin coated on the surface, there is no wastage of any material and it is not the hazardous process. In case of zinc is toxic in nature. That's why it is not preferable for household. But in case of tinning, it is not at all toxic. Hence, it is non-hazardous process. and plating is very fast. In case of tinning, it can be coated very fast, several times higher than electrolytic plating. Okay, so the rapidity of method, superiority of method is extremely high compared to compared to electrolytic plating. Okay, both thick coating and thin coating can be produced around the same speed. Thick coating in the sense, some of the metals requires thick layer of tin and some other materials requires very thin layer of tinning. So both can be possible with the same speed. We can control, we can monitor this coating, the extent of thickness by using computer controlled devices. So by using computer connected devices, we can measure, we can indicate how much thickness is required. That much thickness only we can provide, so that tinning on the surface of base metal is possible. And tin coating base metals are very strong, and intermetallic layer is formed during the hot dipping process. Intermetallic layer in the sense, one metal to another metal bonding will be there. That is called intermetallic layer. So in between two different metals, one is tin, second is iron. So strong bonds are generated between tin and iron. That's the reason why they are not removed by even scratching. Now let us see what are the applications of tinning. Tin is the non-toxic material, hence all the domestic utensils. Domestic utensils are nothing but household utensils and food packaging devices. Food storaging devices can be coated with this tin. So tin coating is possible. So because of non-toxic nature, so food containers mostly made up of this tinning process. It is used for the coating of steel, even copper, even brass. Brass is nothing but alloy of zinc and copper. In that case also we can use this tin protective layer. Tin metal possesses good resistance against atmospheric corrosion. Even with atmosphere, air, so we can protect our base metal. So that is also possible. Tinned copper utensils are used in storing foodstuff, ghee, oil, other food storage devices. Some packaging devices for purchasing purpose, what we are using, in that case also this tin coated articles are used. Tin coated foodstuffs, ghee, oil and food storage devices are available. So this is about hard dipping. Hard dipping, let us revise in brief. Hard dipping in the sense, any base metal dipped into hot molten solution of protective layer is called hard dipping. Hard dipping is basically two types. One is galvanization, second is tinning. Galvanization is nothing but protective layer is zinc, base metal is iron. Tinning, protective layer is tin, base metal is iron. So galvanization applied in industrial purpose, tin coated articles applied in domestic purpose. Okay, so this is about galvanization and tinning. Let us see important differences between galvanization and tinning. So there is a possibility to give the question, differentiate galvanization from tinning. Galvanization is zinc prevents the rusting. Tinning, iron prevents the rusting. Zinc protects iron sacrificially. How can we say it is sacrificial? Zinc is anodic, iron is cathodic. That's why zinc itself sacrifices to protect the base. Whereas in case of tin coating, so because of noble nature of tin, it used to protect the base metal. Zinc protects by sacrificial nature. Tin protects by noble nature. Noble nature is there for tin. That's the reason why here protection is possible. Now, galvanized article continues to protect underlying metal even rupture is there. If any damage, if any rupture on the surface, still protection is possible. But tin coated articles when ruptured, severe rate of corrosion is possible further. Tin coated articles are not applied in domestic purpose, toxic in nature. Tin coated articles can be used as foodstuffs. Mute your device. Somebody. So non-toxic in nature. Ideal temperature for galvanization is 450 degrees, whereas tin coating is 250 degrees centigrade. Ammonium chloride used as a flux in case of zinc coating. Zinc chloride is used as a flux in tin coating. Very important topic. Electroless in the sense, coating a base metal in the absence of electrical current is called electroless plating. We are applying electroless coating by nickel. Nickel is a protective layer. Inner metal can be protected in the absence of electrical current. Electroless plating by nickel we are going to see. Okay. Yes. All of you mute your devices. See, okay. Electroless plating by nickel is the deposit of nickel alloy coating by chemical reduction without electrical current that's used in the electroplating process. In electroplating process, what we are doing, we are using electrical current, but in electroless plating, we are using chemical reduction process without electrical current. Let us see how the process is possible. Here, first surface cleaning is required. For this surface cleaning process, what we are doing, series of chemicals we are using. Okay, so surface should be properly cleaned, then only what happens, what protection is possible. Here, chemical treatment followed